I used to believe my life was solid, unshakable. My marriage, my family, my career. I had built everything with my own hands, step by step, ensuring stability for my wife, Lauren, and our daughter, Katie. I wasn't a billionaire, but I ran my father's small yet successful manufacturing business, ensuring a comfortable life for all of us. But as it turns out, trust is a fragile thing. And love can be a lie that shatters your soul when the truth finally comes to light. That morning, I woke up with a sense of contentment. The weekend was here, and I had planned to attend a car show, something I had been looking forward to for months. My 2010 Mustang GT was my pride and joy, something I had worked on meticulously over the years. It wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of everything I had built, a representation of my dedication, my patience, and my commitment to doing things right. I had barely started mowing the lawn when Katie arrived home, her movements hurried, her eyes darting toward the house. She hugged me quickly, too quickly, and then rushed to the patio where Lauren was seated. I noticed their conversation almost immediately. It wasn't the typical mother-daughter exchange. Their voices were hushed but filled with urgency, with an intensity that made my gut tighten. Instinct told me to listen. I moved closer, pretending to adjust the mower, my back half turned as I caught snippets of their conversation. Catherine, how could you be so reckless? Lauren's voice was sharp, filled with disappointment. Mom, it was just one time, Katie insisted, her tone defensive. It didn't mean anything. It was just exciting. I love Eric, but sometimes I just need something different. He's your husband, Lauren snapped. He loves you. If you're bored, you work on it. You don't destroy your marriage. At that moment, I felt my blood run cold. My daughter had cheated on her husband? I gripped the handle of the mower, my knuckles turning white. Katie was following in her mother's footsteps, because I had heard this conversation before, years ago, between me and Lauren. A truth I was never meant to hear. I shut off the mower abruptly, and the sudden silence made both Lauren and Katie turn toward me. Lauren's face was tight with barely contained anger, but Katie? Katie looked defiant. Mark, talk some sense into your daughter, Lauren said, exasperated. She went to a party, got drunk, and slept with a stranger while her husband was at work. I felt sick. This was my daughter? The same girl I raised to value commitment, loyalty, and honesty? But before I could even formulate a response, Katie's gaze turned sharp. Oh, so suddenly you're perfect, Dad? She said, her voice laced with venom. You and Mom are still together. Lauren visibly stiffened. A slow, suffocating weight settled in my chest as I turned to Lauren. She wasn't looking at me anymore, she was staring at the ground. It was just once, Dad, Katie continued. I was drunk. I wanted to try it again sober. It's not like I was having a full-blown affair like Mom did. Lauren's face went pale. The ground beneath me might as well have collapsed. She had told Katie, but she had never told me. I clenched my jaw, trying to contain the storm brewing inside me. I looked directly at Katie, my voice low but firm. Burn this image into your memory, I said, pointing to my own face. Because that's exactly how Eric will look when he finds out. Her expression faltered. Dad, if it's going to hurt him this much, I can't tell him. I laughed, but there was no humor in it, just bitterness. Then you'll lose him, I warned. Because if he hears it from someone else, like me, it'll hurt even more. I might even call him myself and suggest we split the lawyer fees. Katie's face drained of color. Why would he need a lawyer? Maybe he'll want a divorce, too. Lauren took a step forward, her voice suddenly soft, almost pleading. Mark, you're upset. I turned to her sharply. Upset? I repeated, my voice shaking with anger. I treated you like a queen. Name one thing I didn't give you. And now I find out I've been married to a cheater? And my daughter is learning from your example? Lauren's eyes filled with tears. I know I hurt you, Mark, she whispered. Oh, so you get that now? My voice cracked. For years I bragged about my family. I thought I had the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. But you know what? I was wrong. A heavy silence filled the air. Who was he? I asked, my voice void of emotion. Lauren hesitated. What does it matter? She finally whispered. I felt the last shred of patience snap inside me. It matters to me, I growled, because I want to know exactly who I'm going to destroy. Lauren paled. She knew I meant it. He's married, she finally admitted. His marriage? It wasn't doing well. They had problems. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. And we didn't? Lauren took a step back. She was scared, probably because, for the first time in her life, she had no idea what I was going to do next. A new beginning, a cold goodbye. I'm going to the car show tomorrow, I said, my voice eerily calm. Lauren nodded eagerly. She thought I was calming down. I know, honey. I'll come with you. We can talk on the way. No, I said flatly. You're not coming. She blinked. What? Why? I turned fully to face her. Because I don't surround myself with people who betray me. Her breath hitched. The next time we see each other, Lauren, we'll be in court. A sob tore from her throat. Mark, please. I stepped away. I expect you to be gone by the time I return. She broke down completely, but I didn't stay to watch. I restarted the mower, and with every blade of grass I cut, I buried the life I thought I had. The silence in the house was unbearable. I had packed my bags, my hands shaking as I stuffed clothes into a suitcase. Lori stood in the doorway, her face pale, eyes swollen from crying. She wanted to talk, but I wasn't interested in hearing another apology. I zipped up my bag and turned to her. I meant what I said, Lori. By the time I get back, I want you gone. She flinched as if I had struck her. Mark, please, don't do this. We can fix this. I let out a bitter laugh. Fix what, Lori? The years you spent lying to me? The affair you never admitted until our daughter exposed you? She took a deep breath, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't an affair. It was a mistake. Stop lying to me, I roared, my patience snapping. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is leaving the oven on. You don't accidentally sleep with another man multiple times. She choked back a sob. I never wanted to hurt you. I shook my head. You didn't just hurt me, Lori. You destroyed us. I grabbed my bag and walked past her, but she caught my arm. Wait, Mark, there's something I need to tell you. I pulled away from her grasp. Whatever it is, I don't care. But I should have cared, because the moment I stepped outside, my world shattered even more. I was halfway to my car when I spotted someone standing at the edge of the driveway. A man, dressed in a crisp suit. His presence felt too polished, too calculated. He looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot, as if debating whether to come closer. I frowned. Who the hell are you? He hesitated before speaking. Mark. My name is Daniel Carter. I didn't recognize the name, but something about his expression made my stomach twist. And? He swallowed hard. I'm the man Lori had an affair with. Everything around me seemed to freeze. The blood in my veins turned to ice. I clenched my fists, the urge to hit something overwhelming. You've got 10 seconds to get off my property before I break your jaw, I said through gritted teeth. Daniel didn't move. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. I need to tell you something, and after that, I'll leave. I was about to tell him to go to hell, but then I noticed Lori standing on the porch behind me, her face stricken with terror. I snatched the envelope from his hands and ripped it open. Inside were documents, official-looking papers with medical records attached. And then I saw it, a paternity test. I scanned the paper, my breath hitching as I read the results. My hands trembled and my legs suddenly felt weak. This is a joke, right? I whispered, my voice barely audible. Daniel shook his head. I'm sorry, Mark, but the child you raised, Katie, she isn't yours. She's mine. My vision blurred. The words on the page became unreadable, my mind spiraling into chaos. I looked at Lori, desperate for her to deny it, to tell me it was all some sick prank. But she just stood there, her lips trembling. I was going to tell you, she finally whispered. I just, I couldn't. I staggered backward, my heart pounding like a war drum. So, let me get this straight, I said, my voice eerily calm. You didn't just cheat on me? You had another man's child and let me raise her as my own? Tears streamed down her face. Mark, please. You're still her father. You're the one who raised her, who loved her. I let out a hollow laugh. Oh, so now biology doesn't matter? Funny, because it sure as hell mattered when you were sneaking around behind my back. I turned to Daniel, my rage barely contained. And you, what the hell do you want? A thank you? A congratulations? He sighed. I don't expect forgiveness, but I couldn't keep lying. I wanted you to know the truth. I shook my head in disbelief. You wanted me to know the truth? Years later? After I spent my entire life believing I was Katie's father? Daniel lowered his gaze. I thought it was best at the time. But now I can't keep living with the guilt. Guilt? That word made me sick. He got to live his life freely while I was the fool raising his child. I turned back to Lori. Did Katie know? Lori flinched. No, she doesn't know. My stomach twisted. So you were planning on keeping this a secret forever? Lori bit her lip, her silence answering the question. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. The betrayal wasn't just about an affair anymore. It was about my entire reality being a lie. The decision that would change everything. A suffocating silence stretched between us. Lori was still crying. Daniel was still standing there awkwardly, and I was barely holding myself together. Then I made my decision. I turned to Daniel. If you want to be a father, then be one. But I'm done. Lori gasped. Mark, no, she's your daughter. No, she's his daughter, I said, my voice cold. And you made damn sure of that. Lori sobbed. But you love her? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I did. But I won't be the fool who stays in a marriage built on lies. I stepped past both of them and got into my car. I couldn't stand being near them any longer. As I drove away, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. The pain was unbearable, but I knew one thing for sure. I was never going back. The drive away from my house felt surreal. My hands gripped the wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I wasn't sure where I was going. I just needed to be anywhere but there. My mind replayed the last few hours like a broken record. Lori's tear-streaked face, Daniel's nervous confession, the paternity test that shattered my world. For years I had poured my love, my time, and my very soul into raising Katie, believing she was my daughter. And now? Now I wasn't even sure who I was anymore. I pulled into a parking lot near a dimly lit diner. My head rested against the steering wheel as I took deep breaths, trying to steady myself. I needed answers. I needed to know where I went from here. After a few minutes, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. My thumb hovered over Katie's name. Did she deserve to know? She was only 12. How could I drop this on her? How could I look into her bright eyes and tell her that the man she called Dad wasn't really her father? My heart clenched. Number no matter what, I couldn't destroy her world the way mine had just been destroyed. I put my phone away and exhaled slowly. Maybe I wasn't her biological father, but I was the man who had been there since the moment she was born. I was the one who had held her tiny hand when she took her first steps, who stayed up with her when she had nightmares, who cheered for her at every school event. Maybe biology had betrayed me, but love hadn't. And if I walked away from her now, what would that make me? After gathering my thoughts, I called my brother Jake. He picked up on the second ring. Mark, you okay, man? His voice was filled with concern. I sighed. Not really. Where are you? At some diner outside town. I needed to get out of there. There was a brief silence. Then Jake said, Stay there. I'm coming. I didn't argue. I just sat there, staring out the window at the flickering streetlights. 15 minutes later, Jake pulled into the parking lot, and slid into the seat across from me in the diner. The waitress poured him a cup of coffee before disappearing. He took one look at me and sighed. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about Daniel, the test, the fact that Katie wasn't mine. Jake listened in silence, his expression darkening with every word. When I finished, he exhaled sharply. "I can't believe this." "Yeah, welcome to my world." He rubbed his temples. "So, what now?" I shook my head. "I don't know. Part of me wants to walk away from all of it. The house, the memories. Katie." Jake's eyes snapped up. "Whoa, Katie. Mark, she's a kid. She had no part in this." "I know," I admitted. "But every time I look at her, I'll be reminded that she was never mine to begin with." Jake leaned forward. "Let me ask you something. Do you love her?" I clenched my jaw. "Of course I do." "Then don't punish her for something she had no control over." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "I just don't know how to move forward." Jake nodded. "Then take your time. But don't make a decision you'll regret." I stared into my coffee cup, my mind tangled in chaos. I had lost my marriage, I had lost my sense of security. But did I have to lose Katie too? The next morning, I drove back to the house. Lori was still there, standing in the living room, like she had been waiting for me. Her eyes were filled with exhaustion and sadness. "Mark," I held up a hand. "I don't want to talk about us. There's nothing left to say." She swallowed hard. "Then why are you here?" I exhaled. "Katie." Her face crumbled. "She doesn't know anything, Mark." I swear I nodded. "And I want to keep it that way." Lori blinked in surprise. "You... you're not going to tell her?" I shook my head. "What good would it do? She's 12. Telling her now would only break her." Lori covered her mouth, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You're a better man than I deserve." I didn't respond. I wasn't doing this for her. I was doing it for Katie. She was innocent in all of this. And no matter what, she was still my daughter. I turned to leave, but Lori called after me. "Mark, what happens now?" I paused at the doorway. Then, without looking back, I said, "I'll always be there for Katie, but you? You and I are done." And with that, I walked away, ready to rebuild my life. Without the lies, without the betrayal. Just me and the little girl I had always loved as my own, no matter what. The days that followed were filled with quiet contemplation. I had packed a few bags and checked into a hotel, giving myself space to process everything. I wasn't running away, but I also wasn't ready to step back into the house that had once felt like home. But even as I stayed away, my thoughts never strayed far from Katie. She was my daughter in every way that mattered, except by blood. And while the truth had shaken me to my core, it hadn't erased the years of love and devotion I had given her. One evening, as I sat on the edge of my hotel bed, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lori. "Lori, Katie keeps asking for you. She doesn't understand why you're not coming home." My chest tightened. I had been so caught up in my own pain that I hadn't stopped to think about how my absence was affecting her. I couldn't do that to her. I might not have been her biological father, but I had always promised to be her dad, and that meant showing up. The next afternoon, I drove back to the house. It felt strange walking through the front door, like stepping into a past life. The walls were still the same, the furniture untouched, yet everything felt different. Katie came running down the hallway the moment she saw me. "Daddy!" she cried, launching herself into my arms. I hugged her tightly, breathing in the familiar scent of her shampoo. "I missed you," she murmured. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I missed you too, kiddo." She pulled back and looked up at me. "Are you coming home now?" I hesitated. Lori stood a few feet away, watching us with red-rimmed eyes. I wasn't ready to step back into the same house where everything had fallen apart, but I was ready to be there for Katie. "I don't know if I'm coming back here," I admitted gently, "but that doesn't mean I'm going anywhere, okay? I'll always be here for you." Her small fingers gripped mine. "Promise?" I crouched to her level, meeting her gaze. "I promise." She gave me a soft smile before hugging me again. And in that moment, I knew, no matter how much had changed, my love for her never would. In the following weeks, I found a new place to live, an apartment across town. It wasn't as big as the house, but it was mine. Katie stayed with me on weekends, and we started building new traditions. Movie nights, cooking together, late night talks. I made sure she never felt like she had lost me. As for Lori, our conversations remained brief and civil, focused only on Katie. She tried to apologize again, tried to explain her actions, but I wasn't ready to listen. Maybe one day I would find it in my heart to forgive her. But not yet. For now, my priority was my daughter. She might not have been my flesh and blood, but she would always, always be my little girl.